Did you know that crows are some of the smartest birds on Earth? They're almost as smart as primates. But why are they so smart? Hi, and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be looking at one of the smartest animals on Earth, and it just so happens to be a bird. Let's get into it. These birds can recognize themselves in the mirror. If you didn't know that this was even possible for a bird to do, you're not alone. Scientists were quite surprised when they first observed crows looking at themselves in a mirror. At first, the crows didn't seem to know what they were looking at. They began to turn their heads and tilt their bodies to mimic the movements of the reflection in the mirror. And after a while, they started to understand that the reflection was actually themselves. The scientists conducting the experiment marked the crows with colored dots on their chests to make it easier to identify them. And sure enough, the crows began to look for the dots on their own bodies when they saw them on the reflection. This is a sign that they had figured out that the reflection was actually themselves. Only about 20 species of animals have been documented as being able to recognize themselves in a mirror, and crows are the only birds on that list. Other animals on the list include chimpanzees, dolphins, elephants, dogs, and even a crow's cousin, the parrot. So you can imagine how surprised scientists were when they first observed crows doing this. To think that a bird could be as self-aware as a dog or a parrot is really something else. But it's not the only thing that makes crows super smart. They use tools to get food. Humans aren't the only ones who use tools. In some cases, crows will use sticks to probe for insects in tree bark. They'll also use sticks to scratch themselves and to preen their feathers. They've even been observed using sticks to test the water temperature before taking a bath. Now, they do unuse these sticks as tools in the way that a human might use a hammer or a screwdriver, but they do use them in a way that shows a high level of intelligence. Some crows even use human-made tools to get food. For example, they've been known to unscrew bottle caps to get at the sugary liquid inside. And in one case, a crow figured out how to open a plastic bag by pulling on one of the strings that was tied around it. This crow was essentially using a string as a tool to open the bag. In another case, a group of crows figured out how to open a trash can to get at the food inside. They'd pull on the can's handle until it was just about to close. Then they'd fly off and let the handle drop. The food would fall out of the can and onto the ground where the crows could easily eat it. These crows were working together to achieve a common goal. That's a sign of intelligence in itself. It shows that crows can plan ahead and think strategically. But maybe the coolest thing about crows is that they can remember human faces. Not only can they remember human faces, but they can also remember the people they've met. That means that if you meet a crow today, you may just see it again tomorrow, and it'll know who you are. There's a story about a crow that became friends with a girl when she was feeding it. The crow would come to visit her every day, and it would even answer to its name. But then one day, the girl stopped coming to feed the crow. The crow was so upset that it flew to the girl's house and started tapping on the window to get her attention. When the girl finally came to the window, the crow flew away, but it kept coming back every day, hoping that its friend would come out to see it. After a while, the girl's mother started bringing the crow food, but the crow still wanted its friend. Finally, the girl started coming to the window again, and the crow was so happy that it stayed on her windowsill and sang to her. This crow was showing signs of grief, which is something that we usually only associate with humans. So what exactly is it about crows that makes them so smart? Well, it starts with their brains. Crows have the largest brain of any bird. Their brain is about twice the size of a pigeon's brain, and they have more neurons than any other bird. Neurons are the cells in our brains that help us think and problem solve. So the more neurons a bird has, the smarter it is. But it's not just about the size and complexity of their brain. It's also about how they use it. Crows are constantly using their brains to solve problems. They have to remember where they've seen food before, how to open different kinds of containers to get at that food, and how to avoid predators. All of these things require intelligence, and crows have evolved to be very intelligent creatures. They live in groups, and in order to survive, they need to be able to communicate with each other. They also need to be able to deceive each other in order to get food. All of these things require a certain level of intelligence. And over the years, crows have evolved to be some of the smartest birds on Earth. Well, that's all for now. But if you want to learn more about crows, check out the links below. Until next time, thanks for watching.